Hello everyone. You are all very welcome to this virtual performance of Ogonolo Remembers. This show, which we produced in our community hall 4 years ago to commemorate the centenary of the 1916 Rising, recalls that very special time in Irish history through the songs and poems that we know so well, all performed by people from our parish. It also recalls those historic days through the pages of a very special diary written by local man Tim Lynch, who lived in our parish at that time. This entire performance has been recorded on our mobile phones this week, and all our performers are amateurs with little or no stage experience. We have also included some background images from our lovely parish here on the shores of Lough Derg for your enjoyment. We wish you a happy Easter and above all, hope that this finds you in good health. Ladies and gentlemen, Ogonolo remembers.
The sea is Grogyal Macree, long may it roll between England and me. It's a sure guarantee that somehow we'll be free. Thank God we're surrounded by water. Maybe it's all in the water. There's no doubt, but the seas surrounding us make us separate and have left us with an abiding sense of our own identity and a thirst for liberty. The history of Ireland since the arrival of the Normans in 1169 is the story of attempts by the power across the water to subjugate this island and the story of our resistance to those attempts. The most significant and ultimately successful rebellion was the Easter Rising of 1916. Political and military radicals had begun to gather around an organisation founded by Arthur Griffith called Sinn Féin. People like the old Fenian Tom Clark became active along with a new voice and a new imagination, a fiery young teacher called Padraig Pearse. Pearse stepped onto the national stage when the body of Fenian leader O'Donovan Rossa was brought home from the US for burial in 1915. Tom Clark and the IRB created a spectacle around the funeral, and he gave Pearse the job of rallying the troops with a graveside oration.
Life springs from death, and from the graves of patriot men and women spring living nations. The defenders of this realm have worked well in secret and in the open. They think that they have pacified Ireland. They think that they have purchased half of us and intimidated the other half. They think that they have foreseen everything, think that they have provided against everything. But the fools, they have left us our Fenian dead. And while Ireland holds these graves, Ireland unfree shall never be at peace.
And so it begins, and from the beginning it is doomed. On Holy Thursday, April 20th, 1916, a German ship, the Odd, approaches Tralee Bay with 20,000 rifles and ammunition secured by Roger Casement for the volunteers. It is not expected until Easter Sunday. There is no one to meet it.
On the 21st of April, Good Friday at the dawn, a German boat was seen to float outside of Carahan with 20,000 rifles all ready for to land and waiting for a signal from the shores of Bannistrand. No signal answers from the shore, Sir Roger sadly said. No comrades here to meet me, alas, they must be dead. But I must do my duty, and at once I mean to land. So in a boat he pulled ashore to lonely Bannistrand. There I see we're hunting for Sir Roger high and low. They found him at McKenna's ford. Said they, "You are our foe." Said he, "I'm Roger Casement, here upon my native land, and I mean to free my countrymen on lonely Bannostrand." They took Sir Roger prisoner, and they sailed for London town, where in the Tower they laid him as a traitor to the crown. Said he, "I am no traitor," but his trial he had to stand for bringing German rifles to lonely Bannostrand. 'Twas in an English prison that they led him to his death. "I'm dying for my country dear," said he with his last breath. He was buried in a prison yard, far from his native land, and the wild geese sing his requiem on lonely Bannostrand.
Easter Saturday, April 22nd. Learning of the failure of the Ard and of plans for the rising, Owen McNeill, Chief of Staff of the Irish Volunteers, cancels manoeuvres planned for the weekend and orders the volunteers to stay at home. Pearse, Connolly and Clark decided to postpone the rising for a day. There is confusion, heartbreak and frustration among the leaders, officers and volunteers. Nora Connolly, James Connolly's daughter, remembers her father crying that night and saying, "Are we not going to fight now? The only thing we can do is pray for an earthquake to come and swallow us up, and our shame." Countess Markovich threatens to shoot McNeill. Pearse is quiet. Easter Sunday, April 23rd, 1916. Clark, Connolly and Pearse decide the rising must go ahead the following day. They send out the word. Easter Monday, April 24th, 1916 is to be the day.
As down the glen one Easter morn to a city fair rode I. Their armoured lines of marching men in squadrons passed me by. No pipe did hum, no battle drum did sound its loud tattoo, but the Angelus bell o'er the Liffey swell rang out in the foggy dew. Right proudly high over Dublin town they hung out that flag of war. 'Twas better to die 'neath an Irish sky than at Suvla or Sudelbar. And from the plains of Royal Meath strong men came hurrying through, while Britannia's sons with their long-range guns sailed in from the foggy dew.
Dublin, Easter Monday 1916, 11 a.m. 1,250 Irish volunteers and citizen army assemble in Dublin. Between 11:30 a.m. and 12:30 p.m, rebels occupy the Jacobs Factory, St. Stephen's Green, the South Dublin Union, Jemieson's Distillery, the Mendicity Institute and Boland's Mill. At 12:20 p.m, rebels march into the GPO and occupy it, establishing the headquarters of the rising. The O'Rahilly, a McNeill loyalist, joins them. 12:45 p.m. Padraig Pearse stands outside the GPO and proclaims the Irish Republic. An uneasy calm settles over the city. The rebels are surprised at how easy it has gone. The British are taken completely by surprise. Most of the civil servants and the military elite are in Fairyhouse at the races. They return to find the city at war. Tuesday, April 25th, 1916, 5:30 a.m. Firing from the roof of the Shelbourne Hotel, British soldiers machine-gun the rebels occupying St. Stephen's Green. These retreat to the College of Surgeons. 11:20 p.m. Rebels drive back a British attack on the South Dublin Union. 7:50 p.m. Dublin Fusiliers, fighting with the British Army, drive rebels from buildings on Cork Hill. 23 British soldiers fall on Parliament Street as rebels beat a retreat across the Liffey. 8 p.m. A British gunboat fires on Boland's Mills from Grand Canal Dock. 9:40 p.m. Rebels occupy the Imperial and Metropole hotels near the GPO and parts of Henry Street. The whole of Ireland is put under martial law. Little is known of what is happening around the country. In Ogonnelloe in County Clare, Thady Lynch is keeping a diary.
Ogonnelloe, County Clare, 25th of April 1916. In evening came by Michael McKenna, perhaps the most thrilling and extraordinary intelligence that ever reached me, namely that the Sinn Féiners have broken out in rebellion in Dublin, and that Dublin train from Killaloe can only proceed to Ballybrophy where the railway is torn up. Go up road at night and meet Mooney outside Pat's. We go to Shanahan's. News is scant and unreliable, and wild reports have spread. Armed guards are said to be mounted on post offices, and our local barracks, according to reports, was barricaded last night in anticipation of visitors on evil bent. The rebellion appears to have broken out yesterday. Met Jack Oldfield on way home, who says that Mrs. Gleeson, who escaped from the city yesterday, reports that the rebels have captured the castle, post office, military barracks and bank. We are living in exciting times.
Wednesday, April the 26th, 6:20 a.m. Huge British reinforcements arrive at Kingstown. They get a warm welcome from the locals, including tea. The gunboat Helga blasts Liberty Hall, and the GPO comes under sustained fire from British troops in the Gresham Hotel. The British, marching from Kingstown in columns 6 deep, are ambushed by rebels at Northumberland Road and take heavy casualties. Thursday, April 27th. The British bring in the artillery. Connolly had believed the capitalists would never bombard their own property, but he is proved wrong. It is clear the authorities intend to crush the rebellion. They pound Sackville Street. Meanwhile, the infantry capture Capel Street Bridge, while the rebel garrisons in the Four Courts and the South Dublin Union come under heavy fire. James Connolly is wounded and incapacitated for the rest of the fight. He is a huge loss to the GPO garrison.
27th of April. Reports that the dead are in heaps on the streets of Dublin.
Friday, April 28th. The death toll is mounting. Bodies of people and horses litter the street as buildings burned, while trams, cars and carts smoulder in the barricades. The rebels continue to hold out in Boland's Bakery under De Valera, in the Royal College of Surgeons under Countess Markovich, in Jacob's factory under Thomas McDonough, and at the Four Courts under Ned Daly. Incendiary shells hit the roof of the GPO, and at 6:15 in the evening, part of the roof collapses. The decision is taken to evacuate the GPO and the Metropole Hotel. Headquarters is established in Moore Street. The end is looming.
28th of April. Military have arrived in Killaloe, and the Bridge of Ballina is being put in a state of defence. Details from Michael McKenna, who was in Ballina. The country is seething with excitement. There is no news, not alone from Dublin, but from any part of Ireland. And for all we know, the flames of war may be blazing within a few miles of us. Went up road in evening and met Mooney. My very soul is burning to hear good accounts of the Sinn Féiners, and I believe Comrade is the same. What would I not give to see a paper with even the most meagre news? Is the rebellion only beginning? Is it at its height, or is it over? Are the patriots winning, holding their own, or crushed beneath the insulted heel of England? Is this war in Ireland, so long the prophetic theme of many an old man's tale, about to drag on? A type in miniature of its European contemporary. As we strolled along this fine night, we talked all these things over, but in the maddening silence of these stupendous days, we could only conjecture and pray earnestly that the Irish patriots may be able to give to England the only gift that she ever deserved from the hands of an Irishman, the bullet or the pike, and the only gift that she ever made any return for. No doubt Dublin is another Verdun, if 'tis there at all. Tonight we meet a very young man who cycled from Limerick that day. He says the city is in an extraordinary state of defence and all the bridges mined. Also says rebels are reported to have all Dublin, which is being shelled, and Galway.
Saturday, April 29th. On Saturday morning, the situation is hopeless. Volunteers, after retreating from the GPO, are trying to hold out in Moore Street. Bodies of their comrades and civilians lie in the street where they fell, including the O'Rahilly. The volunteers are exhausted and hungry, but many want to fight on and become almost mutinous, especially those who had come from England for the fight. Finally, Sean McDiarmid makes an impassioned appeal to them, which is as prophetic as it is insightful.
He suggested that we take a long look at the dead civilians lying in the street outside our windows. He asked us to imagine how many more of them would be lying there if we fought on. He also stressed that the civilians nearest us were all very poor and they would be butchered with us. He said that the rest of this beautiful city would be razed. He told us that the worst that would happen to the Irish volunteers from England would be a few years in jail. He said that we fought a gallant fight and we'd only lose now by fighting further. He told us that our only remaining duty now was to survive. And he ended by insisting quietly and still smiling, and I quote this, "We who will be shot will die happy, knowing that there are still plenty of you around that will finish the job."
At 12:45 p.m, Elizabeth O'Farrell goes to the British lines under a white flag to discuss terms of surrender. Brigadier General Lowe, the British operational commanding officer, insists on unconditional surrender. After 3 hours of negotiation, Pearse accepts the terms and at 3:30 p.m. meets Lowe with Elizabeth O'Farrell at the top of Moore Street and surrenders.
29th of April. In morning going to shop. I'm in time for arrival of Claire Champion. All athirst for news. It is quickly opened and gives short accounts beneath this pompous heading, Insurrection in Dublin, stating that 10,000 troops have been landed from England, that the famous Liberty Hall is being shelled, that martial law has been proclaimed, and that, like every other menace, the situation is well in hand. It is the first reliable Irish war news and it is consoling to me to know that the patriots are making a good fight. In the awful upheaval of civilization during the past 20 months, I have prepared for an official from any city in the world, but one from Dublin I never thought I'd read. Easter week 1916 has passed away, calmly as far as our locality is concerned, though in this eternal silence we know not what may suddenly happen near home no more than we know what has occurred or what is occurring elsewhere. All opinions concur that Dublin must be a shambles, and heaven only knows what the future holds.
Sunday, April 30th. The garrisons at Boland's and Stephen's Green reluctantly accept the order to surrender. At Jacobs, MacDonagh refuses to surrender until Brigadier General Lowe personally makes it clear what will happen if he refuses. Priests have to be dispatched to many isolated groups of rebels to convince them to give up the fight. The leaders, along with 3,500 others, are arrested. General Maxwell, under the terms of martial law, begins the process of court-martialing the leaders. It becomes clear that many would pay the ultimate price. As the rebels captured at the GPO and the Four Courts are marched to Inchicore, they are jeered at by the civilian population.
Sunday, the 30th of April 1916. At Mass, Father O'Mara makes some sarcastic remarks on the kindness of England in protecting us from menaces that are non-existent. He prayed that the blood of the martyred patriots may continue to cry to the throne of God for vengeance until Irishmen in their thousands might rise and sweep away the last vestige of British rule in Ireland. The day was beautifully fine. Spent most of it lying at Chapel Gate talking to Maggie Maloney. Alas, there is a copy of a telegram posted up stating that Pearse, the rebel leader, has surrendered and is advising his followers to do likewise. The unfortunate rising cannot have accomplished as much as I would wish, but God be praised, I have lived to see the day that Irishmen have fought and died for Ireland.
Is this another glorious failure? Another Kinsale, another Aughrim, another Vinegar Hill, another useless moral victory? Something else for generations to come to sing about, lament about, and raise their glasses to. Yet nothing will have changed. We will still not be at home with ourselves, not at home in our own country, carrying the name of another nation, speaking the language of another people, with someone else's coin in our pockets. Or is there going to be something different this time? And there is. The decision of Brigadier General Sir John Maxwell to court-martial and execute the leaders cuts Irish men and women to the bone and to the soul. As the condemned men face the firing squad and the hangman, they find in themselves extraordinary depths and heights of nobility. Their last few hours on the planet tell stories of great lives and great love. Michael Mellon writes to his wife and family the night before he dies.
My darling wife, pulse of my heart, this is the end of all things earthly. Sentence of death has been passed. At 4:15 tomorrow, the sentence will be carried out by shooting. And so must Irishmen pay for the crime to make Ireland a free nation. God's will be done. My heartstrings are torn to pieces when I think of you and them. Of our manly James, happy-go-lucky John, shy, warm Una, daddy's girl. And oh, little Joseph, my little man, my little man. Wife, dear wife, I cannot keep the tears back when I think of him. He will rest in my arms no more. To think that I have to leave you to battle through the world with them, without my help. What will you do, my darling, and our own unborn child?
Padraig Pearse remains the poet of the rising from beginning to end.
The beauty of the world hath made me sad, this beauty that will pass. Sometimes my heart had shaken with great joy to see a leaping squirrel upon a tree, or a red ladybird upon a stalk, or little rabbits in a field at evening lit by a slanting sun, or some green hill where shadows drifted by, some quiet hill where mountainy man had sown, and soon would reap near to the gate of heaven, or children with bare feet upon the sand of some ebbed sea, or playing on the streets of little towns in Connacht. Things young and happy. And then my heart had told me, these will pass and change, will die and be no more. Things bright and green, things young and happy, and I have gone upon my way, sorrowful.
James Connolly is taken from his prison hospital bed, strapped to a shade chair and shot. Those with him before his death and those who witness his execution are profoundly impressed by the power of the man.
The man was all shot through that came today into the barrack square. A soldier I'm not proud to say we killed him there. They brought him from the prison hospital, and to see him in that chair, I thought his smile would far more quickly call a man to prayer. Maybe we cannot understand this thing that makes these rebels die, and yet all things love freedom and the spring clear in the sky. And I think I would not do this deed again, for all that I hold by. Gaze down my rifle at his breast, but then a soldier and they say that he was kindly, different too, apart from all the rest, a lover of the poor, and all shot through, and his wounds ill dressed. He came before us, faced us like a man. He knew a deeper pain than blows or bullets ere the world began. Died he in vain? Ready, present, and he just smiling. God, I felt my rifle shake. His wounds were opened round that chair. It was one red lake. And I swear his lips said fire, when all was still before my rifle spat. That cursed lead, and I was picked to kill a man like that. Had gathered outside of Kilmainham with their heads all uncovered, they knelt to the ground. For inside that grim prison lay a true Irish soldier, his life for his country about to lay down. He went to his death like a true Irish soldier, the firing party he bravely did face. When the order rang out, while present arms and fire, James Connolly fell into a ready-made grave. When the black flag was hoisted, the cruel deed was over. Gone was the man who loved Ireland so well. There was many a sad heart in Dublin that morning when they murdered James Connolly, the Irish rebel. Many years have rolled by since the Irish rebellion, when the guns of Britannia they loudly did speak, and the bold IRA they stood shoulder to shoulder, and the blood from their bodies flowed down Saxford Street. And the forecourts of Dublin the English bombarded with a spirit of freedom they tried hard to kill. But above all them rose was the cry no surrender. 'Twas the voice of James Connolly, the Irish rebel.
Joseph Mary Plunkett married his girlfriend Grace Gifford in prison the night before he died. She leaves a stark account of that last night.
I was brought in and was put in front of the altar, and he was brought down the steps, and the cuffs were taken off him. And the chaplain went on with the ceremony, and then the cuffs were put on him again. I was not alone with him, not for a minute. I was just a few minutes there to get married, and then again a few minutes to say goodbye that night. And a man stood there with his watch in his hand and said, 10 minutes.
As we gathered in the chapel here in old Kilmainham jail, I think about these past few weeks. Oh, will they say we failed from our school days? They have told us we must yearn for liberty. Yet all I want in this dark cell is to have you here with me. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now I know it's hard for you, my love, to ever understand the love I bear for these brave men, my love for this dear land. But when Padre called me to his side down in the GPO, I had to leave my own sick bed. To him I had to go. Oh, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye. Now as the dawn is breaking, my heart is breaking too. On this May morn as I walk out, my thoughts will be of you. And I'll write some words upon the wall so everyone will know I love so much that I could see his blood upon the rose. Ah, Grace, just hold me in your arms and let this moment linger. They take me out at dawn and I will die. With all my love I'll place this wedding ring upon your finger. There won't be time to share our love,
for we must say goodbye. No, there won't be time to share our love, for we must say goodbye.
Tá ciúnas tacha srádanna bara clia, agus an tír ilig. Níl fáca inis ach de tach, bolan na más agus críthe briste. Ach I meascon scris, béidir go bhfuil dóchas ann. Síalta rudí nua ag brise amach faoi halamh, síalta an taiseirí. Ach tá na léachra imethe, the heroes are gone. Imethe chlí na fíringe, tá siad ina cholle agus ná dúiste riad. Trónín denach I gén cahus lasadam, Táim se him cholle mis ná dúistar mé. Se jarkas lemhef on speher ven vahashul. Táim se him cholle is ná dúistar mé. Bavacalach pelach dreimrach barachas, a carnold crevach ag titim leir valach ré. Si a cahaf na shed, triam hef da chalig me. Táim se him cholle, mis ná dúistar mé. The Easter Rising of 1916 changes everything. After 700 years, it is the one that puts a crack in the mighty armour of the occupier. A crack that widens until it breaks the thing that binds so many. Easter 1916. A terrible beauty is born.
I had a true love, if ever a girl had one. I had a true love, a brave lad was he. One fine Easter Monday, with his gallant comrades, he started away for to make Ireland free. For all around my hat I wear a tricoloured ribbon. Oh, all around my hat, until death comes to me. And if anybody asks me why I'm wearing the ribbon, it's all for my true love I never more will see. He whispered, goodbye, love, old Ireland is calling. High over Dublin our tricolour flies. In the streets of the city the foeman is falling, and we birds are whistling